begin with the Honorable Senate President Escudero on the status of priority legislation and the outcome of today's meetings.
Thank you, ma'am. It is actually only my second LEDAC out of 6. And the Senate had more to report this time around via the passage of 5 of the measures mentioned earlier and 7 pending signature of the President. 2 are in BICAM and the rest is undergoing second reading in the Senate. We expect an additional 5 of these bills to be finished and enacted by on the part of the Senate and the House before the year ends and before we go on our Christmas break. When we resume, we expect to be able to pass on the part of the Senate about 3 to 5 more of these measures, totaling therefore an additional 13 before we go on formal break and end the 19th Congress.
Thank you, Senate President. And now we shall hear from the Honorable Speaker, Martin Romualdez, on the next steps and the salient points from today's meeting with the President.
On behalf of the House of Representatives, we are very, very pleased to announce that we have reported to the President and to the LEDAC Council that, again, the House of Representatives has accomplished all but 2 of the priority legislative measures labeled as priority. And we are confident that before the year ends, we shall have finished all by December or 6 months in advance. We are most delighted under the new Senate leadership that we even have a more dynamic and proactive Senate. And we are most appreciative to the Senate President for the output of the local bills that the Senate has generated for and in behalf of our congressmen. We know that the Senate has a lot still to accomplish, but we are very, very happy to see the progress and much more efficient manner in which the priority legislations for our congressmen, the local bills as well as national, are being undertaken. And we praise the Senate for this new development, and we are one and with the Senate in fulfilling the legislative priority agenda of President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
For the information of the Speaker, given that it was not discussed earlier, the Senate has passed 79 local bills, and we have run out of local bills to take up on the floor. So we will be pushing the committees of the Senate to ramp up the filing of committee reports so that we can continue to take up these local bills and approve them until third reading.
Again, we are one with the Senate, and again, we express our appreciation and support for the Senate leadership under Senate President Chis Escudero in fulfilling these hopes and wishes of our legislators on the local front, and now also more especially that even national bills have been passed and are waiting for enactment into law. And again, we thank Senator Chis Escudero for his leadership.
Thank you. I believe we're open to questions now. May we open the floor? Okay, let's start with Let Narciso, DZRH.
Sir, yung sa Senate po, 5 yung natitira. Ano po yung 5 na yun at yung sa House yung 2?
On the part of the House, we just have the foreign investors long-term lease amendments and the amendments to the agrarian law, which again, I'm glad that Senator Chis Escudero brought some clarificatory issues that have been ironed out at the LEDAC, and we are looking forward to its progress and well, soon to be passage, at least on the part of the House.
It would be the same with respect to those 2 bills, but in addition would be the UHC law amendments, the imperial law amendments, and the new Department of Water bill, which has been approved in the House but has not yet been approved by the Senate, awaiting completion of a reconciled version emanating from the executive branch.
Next question. Eden Santos, Net 25.
Good morning po, Speaker and Senate President. Regarding lang po dun sa budget na panawagan po ni PBBM na mapasa po on time, Siyempre, hindi naman po mapopondohan itong mga bills na ito, kulang po yung ating 2025 national budget.
Maraming salamat, if I may, to the SP. Mamayang pong konti kasi kahapon po lang nakatanggap yung certification of urgency, yung bill natin na maging RA, yung House Bill for 10,800 or the fiscal budget of 2025 of the administration. Mamayang gabi po, maipapasa natin po yan on third and final reading and ready for transmission in short order to the Senate. Kaya itong pinaka-importanting batas na hinaharap natin po sa Kongreso at tas yung kumpiyansa ko na ito ay maitatapos natin itong gabi dahil sa pagka-certify ng Malacanang urgent po itong batas na ito po. Kaya that will be done.
Halos kasabay ng Kamara kami nagsimula ng mga pagdinig kaugnay sa iba't ibang departamento para sa kanilang GAA sa darating na taon. At inaantabayan na namin ang pagbigay sa amin ng approved version o tinatawag nating GAB o General Appropriations Bill galing sa Kamara upang magsimula na ang talakayan kaugnay ng 2025 budget sa plenaryo ng Senado. Sa ngayon, on schedule ang mga pagdinig sa komite ng Senado at minaasahan namin na ito'y maaprubahan ng may sapat na panahon para ito'y mabasa at ma-review ng Pangulo kaugnay ng mga line item veto na maaari niyang gawin sa panukalang budget upang maging ganap na batas ito bago matapos ang taon.
Next question is Chona Yu, People's Journal.
Mr. Speaker, speaking of budget, what will happen to the budget of the Office of the Vice President?
Sa ngayon po, we are on our last day for plenary sessions at saka inaabangan natin ng OBP. So sa ngayon yata, hindi pa yata siya yung sumipot pero i-check up ko pagbalik ko sa Kongreso. Actually, dapat nandun ako ngayon pero nandito tayo. Pero inihintayin din natin yung representatives o si BP mismo.
Sir, what will happen pag hindi siya dumating? What will happen po pag hindi siya dumating, si Vice President?
Abangan ang susunod na kabanata sumsaba. Pero hindi. Sa totoo lang po, we will take this matter up shortly and you will soon be informed of its resolution po.
Thank you, sir.
Salamat.
Raquel Bayan, Radyo Pilipinas.
Sir, with the certification of the budget bill as urgent, ano pa po kaya ibang challenges na nakikita natin that can hinder yung on-time na passage ng budget bill?
Wala po na. Wala na pong challenge kaya this will allow us kasi we are all set and scheduled to pass this on second reading tonight, but the certification of urgency allows us to similarly pass it within short order today at third reading. So, handa-handa kami na ipasa itong GAB natin for transmission to the Senate in short order. Pero mamayang gabi, tapos na to.
Sir, can we expect that before Christmas ma-approve na po ni Pangulo Marcos yung budget kung on time naman po yung
Opo, yun po talaga ang hangarin na po natin ay para merong maligayang Pasko. Hindi lang para sa Pangulo sa Administrasyon pero sa taong bayan na meron tayong isang national budget for progress, prosperity, and development para sa buong sambayan Pilipinas.
Pia Gutierrez, ABS-CBN.
Hi, sir. Sir, speaking of the OVP's budget, can we get your comment or reaction on the VP's decision to repeatedly snub yung plenary debates, and will this lead to any delays in the passage of the budget?
Well, we'd like to very much see the Vice President, but she selected to absent herself, and she has sent us letters explaining why, but of course, we would most appreciate her presence.
Ivan Mayrina, GMA7.
Sorry again, about the Vice President. Like she said, she has repeatedly chosen to snub the hearings of the budget. And as a result, some members of the House are saying that if she doesn't want to fulfill her duties as Vice President, they can call for her just to give up the post or just resign. What are your thoughts on this, Speaker?
Well, lahat ng mga congressman may ideas, meron silang opinion. But before tonight's end, we will come to a resolution, and that will be the act of the plenary. So instead of listening to individual opinions or comments, as you know, in Congress, we act in a consensus, as a consensus body, and as a collegiate body, rather. And so we will deal with that as soon as you allow us to leave this press con so we can return back to normal programming. But we are very, very delighted to have this opportunity. Maraming salamat sa pagbibigay nating ulat sa magandang unahin dyan sa LEDAC kanina po. Kasama natin ang mahal na Presidente, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr.
LEDAC-related question. Of course, these are priority measures you discussed at the LEDAC meeting this morning. Ano ho kaya ang pwede nyo ma-share sa taong bayan kung ano sa mga priority measures na ito ang top of the list? Kumbaga, priority of priorities.
Well, obviously, the number one is still the national budget. That is the matter of all legislation, where all the initiatives, programs, and, how the economy will be, reinvigorated or to make it move forward for everyone's benefit. Concomitant to that are other legislations that we have a whole gamut of them. I do not know where to begin. Kasi may 64 dito, pero I find them almost equally important, but we passed just about all. So I don't know where to begin other than the fact that I can give you the 64 priority legislations. I will maybe defer to the Senate President because some of the senators like to say that they are more deliberate on this. So baka they have something more, they prioritize some of the legislation. But in our case, we have taken them as a whole. And as we've already reported, we have passed this way in advance of schedule, taking it as a whole bundle host. But kasi mas marami din tayo makaka-deliberate kasi mas marami, 300 kami. Kaya we can actually, kaya natin tutukan talaga. Pero the Senate may appear to be more deliberate in its actions because they only have 24 senators to work on it. But we always defer, and actually in practice we usually even concur with Senate versions on matters and in order of the priorities. So I think I'll defer for this moment to the Senate President on what he determines or what he feels are top priorities.
The list of priority measures approved by LEDAC was actually an accumulation of both proposed legislation coming not only from the executive but also members of the Senate and Congress. So these are the priorities of both Congress and the executive. And the Speaker is correct. We are supposed to be 24, now only 23. So we have less people doing the same job that 300 members of Congress are doing. In fact, every member of the Senate has more than 2 committees to chair. Some members even chair as many as 4 committees. So given time and motion studies and given human limitations, we simply cannot do it as fast as the House does it, given available manpower to the Senate and to members of the Senate. But all of these are considered priorities. That's why we were able to proceed with respect to these bills, 12 of them in fact, 5 enacted into law, 7 ready for the signature of the President in a span of 26 session days. Minus pa yung mga baha at pag-ulan na kinaharap natin itong nagdaang mga buwan. So we have about 41 remaining session days until the 19th Congress ends. We hope to be able to maximize it by way of passing most of these laws, including the advocacies at the local level of our friends and colleagues in the House, as well as those from members of the Senate.
Okay. We have room for one more question. Okay. Christian Isores, Radio 630.
To SP Cheese po, how can we assure the public po that the budget will be passed sa tamang timeline po sa Senate plenary given na may mga upcoming pa pong malalaking hearing din sa Senate like yung case po ni Pastor Quiboloy?
I throw the question back at you. Has it ever not been passed by the Senate on time, regardless of which year? It has always been passed by the Senate in time before we go on recess. But to address your question directly, the Senate has entered into a G2G agreement with the PICC, whereby we were able to add or get 5 rooms because we only have 6 in the Senate, to enable members of the Senate chairing the various committees to be able to do their respective hearings without affecting the budget process that we are currently undertaking.
Thank you, sir.
Any final words? This is quite historic to have both the Speaker and the Senate President here. Any final words, sirs?
Again, we welcome the leadership of Senate President Chis Escudero leading the Senate, making it even a more dynamic institution and one that has established more cohesion and coordination with the House. Thus, having an optimum output right now in terms of legislation, both at the national and local levels. So we look forward to working further with our colleagues in Congress at the Senate level under the leadership of Senator Chis Escudero in pursuit of President Ferdinand R. Marcos' priority legislative agenda. Maraming salamat po sa inyo lahat.
Likewise, we thank the Speaker for his hard work for our country, and we thank the Speaker likewise for his leadership insofar as paving the way for smoother and better relations between the Senate and the House, which has resulted in the passage of many pieces of legislation, whether part of the priority or LEDAC measures, or simply national bills and local bills that have equal importance in the respective districts and constituencies. It will be able to help and serve. As I was mentioning earlier, for example, we need to still pass the extension of the IBC 13 Charter. We still need to pass the NHA Charter renewal. We need to pass the PISAM Charter renewal, because all of these will be lapsing by next year. So although not included in the priority list of legislations, these are important bills nevertheless that needs congressional action. Again, thank you and good morning.
Thank you so much, Senate President Escudero and Speaker Romualdez. And maraming salamat Malacanang Press Corps. This concludes our press briefing. Thank you.